Thank you for joining us again on the Waymaker Forum, the Washington edition. In Volume 3, this week we will meet Tim Bird from Virginia. Tim is an interesting person, to say the least, whose life has been blessed in so many ways, and whose business and whose involvement in his community is a reflection of those blessings. Tim Bird is unique in his own right, with special talents and special ways of sharing those talents with his customers, his family, his friends, and his community, as well as people all over the world. I could not be more excited than I am today to have you meet my friend, Tim Bird, our Waymaker for Volume 3. Let's go now and meet Tim Bird. And we're back now with Tim Bird, best-selling author, businessman, and friend in Washington, D.C. for this another edition of the Waymaker Forum, Washington edition. Tim, welcome to the program, and thank you again for agreeing to come and to share a little bit with us about your business and your background, and I look forward to the next few minutes together with us. Tell us a little bit, Tim, about Tim Bird and how you got to the place you did in business and where you are today.
Well, I grew up in South Mississippi, and my father owned a supermarket, and so I'm the youngest of 6 kids. So from the time that I could walk, I was bagging groceries and taking out boxes and stocking shelves and that kind of thing. And I was raised by a Christian family, and I have found that is probably the most important thing, the most important aspect of all that I do.
So in your business, Tim, tell me a little bit more about your background in terms of how you got to Dealer Reinsurance and the company that you own today.
Well, I believe it or not, after I served in the Coast Guard, I came to Virginia and I went to work for John Hancock, actually knocking on doors, selling life insurance door to door, and that was, I can tell you, a learning experience for sure. And I ended up from there getting into the car business. A friend of mine that I had worked with at John Hancock also had gone to work in the car business, and I got in the car business, and it was just a natural flow for me, having been in insurance, to get into F&I, finance and insurance. And so I did F&I for many years in the car business. And one day, some folks that I had done a lot of my training in F&I had asked me to come to work with them and actually begin training F&I managers. And I worked for them for about 3 years, and decided that I could probably do this myself. So that was 22 years ago. I started Dealer Re, and I started out as Tim Bird and Associates, and then we changed the name to Dealer Re, and got into reinsurance, and I've been doing it ever since. So now we have dealerships all over the United States.
And Tim, you're not only involved in the business by yourself, but you're sort of continuing the legacy already, as you've got even members of your family involved. Is that right?
Yes. Well, you know, my wife and I have 8 children, so it is inevitable as they grow that some of them would come in and work even part-time in the summer and make phone calls and such. But my son Taylor has just come to work with the company, and actually I was a little surprised. He's a biochemistry major, cum laude, you know, just a very bright young man, and could have went to work for anybody he wanted to, and decided to come to work with the company, and which is very exciting for us. And he's already done great things so far.
What's life like out on the peninsula where you live in Virginia with 8 kids? Out on the farm, so to speak, this whole idea of legacy and passing things on. What do you find about life there that helps do that?
Well, everything that I have is not mine. Everything that I have belongs to God, and it's a stewardship I have been, that He has put me in charge of. And that stewardship includes a beautiful piece of land that, right after 9/11, it was actually October 2001, I saw an ad in the paper, just a small little 1-inch ad, for sale by owner, and it was 4 acres, which was a peninsula that stuck out into a lake. It had 1,500 feet of waterfront, and 100 acres of environmental easement was alongside of it. So it's totally secluded. Although we're 5 minutes from Walmart, so that's wonderful.
Everybody's 5 minutes from Walmart.
So, having spent several years cleaning the property up and then building a house and raising our children there, and now we have for the last several years we've raised chocolate labs and Yorkies, and now we have horses and goats, and it's just a wonderful place to wake up every day.
Well, we're going to take a brief break, and after we do, we want to come back and talk a little bit more about Washington and why we're in Washington and how you might feel that your role as a citizen and as a businessman in particular is important for these folks here in Washington to know a little bit more about. So we'll come back after this break.
In the next 2 minutes, you'll learn how you can stop giving away customers to insurance and warranty companies and keep 100% of the underwriting profits through your own reinsurance company. And that's without any additional work or overhead. Franchise dealers have been profiting from reinsurance for over 30 years already. Here at Dealer Re, we help independent dealers do the same. That means every time you provide a warranty, require insurance, or sell a service contract or gap, you can make money. The potential is unbelievable. We know because we've been setting up dealers exactly like you for many years and continue to do so every day. It's not uncommon for a small to mid-sized independent dealer using our program to realize several thousand, if not tens of thousands of dollars a month that they were leaving on the table before. In fact, it's a lot easier than you'd think because we do everything for you, from setup to ongoing coaching. When we set up your reinsurance company, you also get amazing customer service advantages that will attract customers and keep them coming back to your dealership. First, you can attract buyers with a true warranty on the buyer's guide. No more as is, and you have full control over terms, features, prices, and claims. Second, you can provide your customers the opportunity to purchase a vehicle service contract. Right now, you probably send between $600 to $1,000 per contract to your third-party warranty company, say around $8,000 per month or $100,000 per year. If the third-party warranty company paid $40,000 in claims, that would equal a 40% loss ratio and a $60,000 underwriting profit. Unfortunately for you, your loss ratio is 100%, sometimes more if you pay denied claims out of pocket. Why? Because it is their underwriting profit. There is a better way. Setting up a reinsurance company allows you to put that underwriting profit in your pocket, not the third-party warranty companies. If you're a buy here, pay here dealer, your reinsurance company can provide premium finance, which allows you to collect the premium on a monthly basis from the customers instead of having to pay it all up front. A much-needed relief for your lending pool. Third, if you're a buy here, pay here, you can provide debt cancellation coverage, which cancels your customer's loan balance if they total their car. Since your collateral is covered, you don't have to worry about chasing down uninsured customers. By buying economical DCC from you, they no longer need expensive full coverage, which can mean an absolute fortune for you. And fourth, you can capture your share of the growing CPO market with your own world-class certified program, not to mention major tax benefits you could get from having your own reinsurance company. Reinsurance, it's what smart dealers do.
We're back again with Tim Bird of Dealer Re out of Virginia. Tim, we're here again, as we said before, in Washington with the backdrop of the Capitol behind us. We're in a city where Waymakers should operate every day. The kinds of people that work here have the ability to make decisions that affect all of our lives and lives around the world. As a businessman, but in particular as a Christian businessman, what's your impression of what we should be doing here in a city like this and for folks that work here?
Well, one thing is for sure that it's about relationship. And that's exactly what God had in mind for us. And that's exactly how we should operate, not only in business, but in up here, when we're up here talking to congressmen and just trying to understand or help them to understand our business, but also to try to help for us to understand how they must go about things. And I think that that's very difficult. However, but when we have relationships with these leaders, that we have an opportunity to have a deeper understanding. It's like having a relationship with an employee, or having and hopefully they're employees, right? Having relationships with your neighbor, that they are here to do a job, and that job is to stand up for us and to make sure that they represent us and to know all the facts before they make decisions.
Right. And we're just a few weeks away from, as baby boomers, what might be one of the most important elections, presidential elections in our lifetime. What's your take on it with regards to how we should be engaged as Christians, or how we should be engaged as business folks, or is there a correlation?
Well, the thing is first of all, we must pray. We have to pray for our country. And that's exactly what God told us to do, is to pray for our country. But it's also important that that we are engaged in letting our voice. I think one of the most worst things that we can do is sit on our hands and not say anything. We are supposed to be the vessel in which God's light shines, and if we don't speak out and let our voice be heard, and support those who are doing that same thing, to let our voice be heard, that we are a Christian nation. I don't really care what some folks might have said about that, but we are a Christian nation, and we need to stand up and act like it.
Well, there's been a lot of rancor, if you will, in this election season. Folks pitted against one another, a variety of opinions that seem to clash. That's not uncommon, but it seems to have been at an all-time high at this point. As Christians, we're called to be more than that. And as I know Tim Bird, I wake up every morning and I'm one of a select few of folks who look at my phone somewhere after about 7 o'clock, and I'll get a text message from you every morning. I don't know how many years you've been doing that. And it's a reminder to me, you started out every morning saying you are loved. And regardless of the text that follows, that's your affirmation every morning, you are loved. We've got a role in that with this election and this country after the election, that regardless of what happens, aren't we called to love one another?
Absolutely. I write a lot of articles, as you mentioned, and I try to mention quite often that we must love our customers. And the thing is that if we don't love our customers, as God didn't say love your customers, He said love your neighbor. And that was the number 2 commandment after love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. And that's the way we have to go about this. It's very difficult, the climate in Washington between these two parties in this election coming up, and it's just not about the presidential election, which is of course huge, but it's also about the local elections, and we have to start at those local elections, and we have to make sure that the people that we elect don't think that they are above all. They are simply representing, and that they are humbled and grateful and put God first in their lives. Because if they put God first in their lives, then they always have someone greater to answer to. We're not just experts in the reinsurance business, we're experts in the car business. And that lends us to be able to know your business and be able to not only just throw some products your way or set up a reinsurance company and pat you on the back and send you down the road, but to be able on an ongoing basis to by asking questions and looking at your business and comparing it to others that we've worked with to set up what's the best thing for you. And I think that by doing that and having, one thing that dealers have is a very difficult time because they really don't have anybody to talk to, and they're usually at the top of the in their company, and they have employees, but sitting down and opening up and sharing your heart with somebody that knows your business, that they can give you good advice. I'm happy to say that is one of the things that we give away for free.
Well, Tim, before we bring the close to this segment of the program, I just want to give you an opportunity. How does somebody get a hold of you? What's the best way? Website, email address. What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, our website is dealerre.com, and the phone number there is 804-824-9533. And my email is tim@dealerre.com.
Great. Tim, thanks again for being with us, and appreciate your friendship and your willingness to come and be a part of this inaugural program, Waymaker Forum, the Washington edition. Wow, Tim Bird is phenomenal, and I'm so thankful to call him my friend. I hope you've enjoyed learning more about Tim and his story. And folks, we want to take just a moment to thank you for tuning in, whether it was for one edition or more of this series of the Waymaker Forum, the Washington edition. It's in its infancy stage now, but we look forward to it growing and becoming meaningful and impactful for folks around the world. We need your help. Become our friend on Facebook, like our page, follow us on Twitter. That's the Waymaker Forum on Facebook. You can follow me on Facebook, the Waymaker Learning Corporation on Facebook. You can follow Marty Coates on Twitter. Any of those will help us push this program out so others too can come to know the real impact of living a life as a Waymaker. And we need your help to do that. Thank you again for making this possible. I want to take a moment to thank all those behind the scenes that make this possible. Matt Hall at 201 Media Productions, Kip Godwin, our co-producer, the folks that work the cameras and the lights, and of course you for watching and being a part of our audience. Thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you next week on our next edition of the Waymaker Forum. Have a good week.